Was it fun to shoot?
No, no, none of the Evil Dead movies were fun to shoot. But I have a theory. A movie that's easy to make is hard to watch. I mean, were they rewarding? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But were they easy? Not in your life. And when I hear an actor complain now, I piss on his shoes. I'm like, you don't know nothing, about difficult. These are the longest, most difficult shoots any actor that I've seen would go through. I mean, look at Army of Darkness. I just say 3 words: Army of Darkness.
Sam is never...
Any actor wants to get uppity on me. It's like, shut your face, little bitch.
Before Sam, and where did acting come from for you? Were you thinking, your dad has some performance DNA in him, right?
My dad came from my grandfather worked for Alcoa Aluminum in Detroit, so he didn't have a huge sense of humor, and my dad wanted to be an artist, as in like a painter.
Right.
And my grandfather was like, "You ain't gonna do that. You're gonna go to college and get a real job." So my dad went to University of Michigan, and then he got into advertising because it seemed like it was creative.
Right.
That was a way to make a living, but it was also creative. And I think it was okay for him, but basically he wound up getting into local theater in order to have that as a diversion to fill out the rest of his life. And that's all I knew. I knew my dad was in these dopey plays, singing and dancing with women that weren't my mother, and he was acting very weird and goofy. And I was like, wow, what's that all about? So that really interested me. And then I got old enough to join as a junior player at this community theater.
You met Sam in high school? Was that when you guys first kind of hooked up?
Technically junior high.
Junior high. Now, what was that?
There was a sighting of Sam. I knew of him. I was walking down the hallway. It was about 8th grade. And he was dressed like Sherlock Holmes, and he was in the middle of the hallway playing with dolls. And I remember, I literally, to this day, I'll never forget it. I'm like, I have to go as far around this guy as I can. He's like a real weirdo.
Yes.
And then we got into high school, and then I met him the second year of high school in radio speech class. I dropped the smartest thing I ever did. So anyone out there who has a typing class that you ever have to take, drop the typing class. So that's how I got into it. I think that's, if I ever get any kind of award beyond like a Raspberry Award, the explanation of why I got into acting is because I dropped typing. Because that got me into radio speech. I dropped typing for radio speech. Because I never dropped anything. I never skipped school. It never occurred to me that you could actually change your classes. I just was like, oh, this is the crappy classes I have. All right, whatever.
Right.
But now I went, no, I hate typing so bad I have to change it. So it was radio speech, and Sam also took radio speech. So we met in that class.
Were funny voices ever part of it with the repertoire?
Well, they were funny to us. They were not funny to anybody else.
Well,
we had a Captain Nemo, which was an adventure show. And the only reason we got to do it was because the teacher of the radio speech class, we let him play one of the pirate characters. He was actually a terrible actor, but it allowed us to put the show on. And it was great. We learned about sound effects, and you had to actually time it of cueing a record. You had to listen to the headphones and back time it and know at 10 seconds you had to spin this. So it was actually very precise, but we loved it. It was we used old time turntables in this old studio, and then Sam started tormenting me immediately.
When did you guys start making films together and throwing things at each other? When did that start?
It was pretty soon. It was really within a year after that, because in class, in the radio speech class, I'd raise my hand to answer a question. And Sam would put a pencil in the back of my neck, a number 2 pencil. And he'd put the tip very lightly against the back of my neck, because he's sitting directly behind me.
Right.
Because he knows that he's hidden. He's the great magician, you know. Never let him see that you're tormenting your friend. Then he'll take the pen. During the course of my answer now, he'll start increasing the pressure. And the question is whether I'm going to snap or whether he's going to wimp out.
Right.
And so it was a contest of wills right from the beginning. I'm like, he's going to snap that thing off of my neck. I know it. And so I'd get to the question and have a permanent dent in my neck, and I'd turn around like, what is your problem? And his response would be, I was trying to help you.
Are you proud of Sam? I mean, Sam really.
Yeah, proud as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have friends who are from the Detroit area who are not as proud. And I'm like, dude, I don't get that. You know, he's earned every penny that he's got coming. Because when you see Oz, good or bad, whether you like it or not, you're going to go, that guy knows what's happening.
How hard was it to raise money for Evil Dead versus Evil Dead 2? Did Evil Dead 2 come easier from a financing standpoint, or did you have to start? It did. It did.
It did. And the funny thing is about Evil Dead 2 was, well, first of all, so Evil Dead was financed by about 15 Detroit businessmen investors through this partnership. One guy gave us his Vegas money. He said, look, I won't go to Vegas this year. Take my money.
Wow, that's
because
neat.
It's a crapshoot.
Yes.
It was kind of like that. Another guy was golfing, and he's golfing with a guy who invested in our movie. And, you know, golfers, the guy looks, he goes, hey, what are you up to? He golfs, he goes, I've invested in a movie. Oh, yeah, what movie? Oh, this movie is horror film. He goes, oh, yeah, you looking for more investors? Yeah, I don't know. Hey, why don't you give me a unit in there? And it happened because they're golfing together.
Yeah.
You know,
we
ran into one other guy who put money in, and then his brother, his mother, his sister, his brother-in-law, it looped around. So it has to start somewhere, you know, and it started, my parents put the first check in to get the ball rolling. So I give them a lot of credit. They've actually made 25 times their money.
Wow.
Over a 30-year period.
You're a good son.
My dad's comment was, it's like finding it in the street. It's from heaven, so, you know.
When you guys first started using these words, Evil Dead, did you conceive of it as multiple parts, or did you think this is kind of, let's play?
No, look at the end of Evil Dead. I'm dead as a doornail. That guy's dead. That evil entity got him. End credits, roll. But he was resurrected by the box office and by the fact that...
Yes. It was not the book, it was the box office, right?
Oh, absolutely. Because, you know, we went on, we never intended to do the second one. We went to do our second film written by the Coen brothers called Crime Wave.
Yeah, Crime Wave.
Now, this was this was the Hollywood whiplash, I would refer to that movie as for all of your students, in that we went from owning the negative, owning the copyright. By the way, there's no director's cut on Evil Dead because there's only one cut.
Right.
There's no studio, so there's no studio cut. Everyone goes, where are the edited scenes? They're like, you ain't going to see them. The director never wanted them. They're gone.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to put them back.
Sam had final cut. That was never even
never even an issue. It was the investors legally could not set foot on the set if we didn't let them.
God, you guys really were kind of ahead of your own time in the
We lucked the hell out because we got an honest lawyer and he steered us in the right direction and made a deal that was simple enough to do.
Right.
It seemed impossible. Like, I guess in numbers, it would be like your students trying to raise $1 million today.
Right.
We wanted to raise, we wanted to raise $150,000. So let's go $500,000, say.
Okay. Well, the first.
Think to yourself, that's a bag full of dough. I don't have $500,000.
All right.
But we managed to do it. It was because, you know, once you put a structure together that a businessman can understand, now you're speaking his language. You actually have to come into his office with the language that he understands. It's either an LLC, a limited partnership, a minimum, a business plan.
Right.
You know, so you can't just come in and go, man, I got the coolest movie. It's going to be awesome. Right. You have to be locked and loaded on both sides. We did a 30-minute Super 8 movie to show investors of Evil Dead that we could make a scary movie. And we showed that all over the place, and that worked.
Within the woods,
The Coen brothers used a trailer for Blood Simple as though the movie were done. They cut a trailer and used that for investors, and that worked well. So you have to go to your investors with a package of legal crap, of business crap, and then the excitement.
Yeah.
But it can't all be sizzle because a real businessman will laugh you out of his office if you don't have the answer to certain key questions.
Do you ever think the movie would be viewed as a good movie? I mean, or did you think, wow, or what are they going to think of this movie? Are they going to think it's
the reactions and the reviews to the first film were all over the place because the LA Times saw it and called it an instant classic.
Wow.
Kevin Thomas, big. I'm like, hey man, we're geniuses. And then an Atlanta paper called it the sickest of the sick. And that Sam Raimi took every bad idea he ever had and put it into a low-budget blender. Yes. So that was the range from, another headline was films that stoop. I'm like, thank you. 4 years of killing our ass for that review, you mother scratcher. So, we got the whole gamut of reaction. Like when we had a premiere, we did the fake with the ambulance. We had an ambulance out front in case anybody fainted. We did it was all the Roger Corman thing. We had a very scary soundtrack playing, a dead wind in the auditorium before the movie. It was very William Castle kind of. Right. And there were parts in the movie, numerous parts where the audience laughed. And we were like, that's weird. Why are they laughing now? And it's because a combination sometimes of a scene is too outrageous and you react that way. It's also a combination of very hammy, melodramatic dialogue delivered by very inexperienced, poor actors. So it's a wicked combination, that movie. It's a melodrama, and we weren't sophisticated, I would say. Maybe Sam was, but I wasn't enough to know how to play certain things. We were all, how do you play a close-up? How do you play a wide shot as an actor? Right. We really were learning. As we went, we shot that movie almost in order. So you can see a progression along the way. The actors get way more comfortable. Sam's camera work gets way crazier, as it should with the movie. Yeah. But you can kind of see us learn as we go during that movie, because it was, it was supposed to be a 6-week shoot that turned into a 12-week shoot that turned into 2 more weeks of pickups after that, and a week after that, and then 3 months of animation in the guy's basement after that. So it's like the longest shoot of any movie. You hear the Roger Corman thing. Oh, I shot a movie in 3 days. You're going to get what you get in 3 days. But 12 weeks for your first movie, that's insane.
That is insane. I was watching My Name is Bruce again last night, and
I pity you for that.
No, it's a fascinating film because I can't.
It had to be made once. We don't need to do any more.
So, but
it had to be made.
Is Bruce versus Frankenstein coming? I guess my point is, like, what do you think of your own persona? I mean, is it something you like?
I'll tell it to you straight. It's kind of like this. I went up to Portland about a month ago to meet with Mike Richardson from Dark Horse Comics to talk to them about Bruce versus Frankenstein. Right. And I actually talked them out of it. Because I'm all for jumping on the sequel bandwagon. I understand why it happens. But from a purer sense, here's the reaction I got because of a movie like that. When you do a meta movie, the issue is that at the end of the movie, for example, Bruce is fake fighting the monster because he doesn't really know how to do it because he's just a dumb actor. Right. And that to me was, I think it's fine as a one-off, but then thinking of doing more of these movies where you go, well, can he be a jackass and a Bob Hope character fighting the mummy or whatever? We thought initially yes, but I think fans' reactions at some point in a movie genre like that, you actually have to kick legitimate ass. Yeah. What we wound up evolving our conversation into was a whole different movie where you actually have an ass-kicking lead character that's not faking like he's kicking ass. He actually really is. All My Name is Bruce really was the attempt to get back to a filmmaking structure that was really favorable. Yeah. So the deal that Mike Richardson made with a company that was a distribution company, a former DVD distribution company who is now only 3-4 years later out of business, they put up the entire budget. So Mike Richardson, as the executive producer, only had one boss. And the deal that he made with this company was that they had no control. So it was me and Mike Richardson from Dark Horse Comics. That was he was my studio. And it wasn't a committee, and we were back to filming. I built that little town on my property in order to have control over it. So again, it was just getting back to dicking around in your backyard again, and that was what I was literally trying to do again, because that's crawling back into the womb again, where it was really it's your rosebud moment.
This has been amazing. Your brain is so structural. I'm sitting here thinking, God, would you ever write a book about filmmaking or about producing? And I guess
I tried to include a lot of it in my If Chins Could Kill book, because I wanted people to get at least a practical sense that you're not being carried around on pillows for the most part when you're in the film business. And the one thing I think, I'll end in saying this, that I really read a lot about old-time actors, because I'm an actor, so I'm like, what did other actors go through?
Right.
Learn as much as you can about history, because you're going to find it. I'm amazed in each of these books, whether it's a Spencer Tracy or a John Wayne or any huge old-time actor. They had the same arguments with the money people. They had the same disagreements. They hated contracts just as much. Gary Cooper ultimately only had a lawyer. Didn't even have an agent.
Yeah.
If you need me, call my lawyer. And so you see how they all did business. So I encourage you to learn a little bit about the history of the business, so you see how it runs, so that you're not so much of a doofus in meetings, and you can have a little bit of a sense how things evolve and how companies evolve that you might be going to.
Yeah.
And first and foremost, just lead, don't follow. You're in the creative arts. Why would you want to imitate Sam Raimi or Quentin Tarantino or Scorsese or any of these guys? They're great inspirations. Let them inspire you, or Hitchcock from our day, But don't let that determine it. Be creative, people, and use the modern technology to make your movie, and use it to edit it and save money and put music to it, and just go for it. And don't feel like you have to move to Hollywood. We didn't leave Detroit until we made 3 movies.
Yeah.
That we had 3 legitimate movies under our belt. And being in other cities gives you great perspective. I'm going to go back to Detroit and make another low-budget piece of crap. I can't wait, because it's not that many people have seen Detroit. So if you're from Hoboken or whatever, make a movie there. There's no shame in that. It'll be real. It'll be no one else has done it. So use what you got. Fight with the army you got, and have fun.